Hey guys.
Hi, everybody.
I feel like I got
You weren't
her.
ready. You weren't ready. It was.
I wasn't. Somebody sent me a nice note, and I was just like, "This is nice." How are you, girls? How are you, girls? We're at September 8th. It's almost Christmas. It's September 8th or September
Why
9th?
would
September
you? Why would you say that?
because it's
It's,
almost Christmas.
it's
Can
the
you imagine?
8th. It is. We're closer to Christmas than we are to New Year's, right?
That's very triggering, Rochelle.
Yeah, it's almost the end of 2021. I think it's the fastest year in history.
First of
2020
all,
was like slow dripping molasses.
Yes. Yes. Agreed.
I feel like March and August just didn't exist.
Yeah,
Those two
a
months.
true
Yeah.
March and August. But
Yeah.
we have been marching from last year March, and we've marched now to season 5 and episode 2 of season 5. Ray, hi
Hi,
Heidi,
Heidi.
hi Althea. How
Awesome day. I'm not sure if I'd say that my day was awesome, but I'm here.
hi Steph.
Hi, Steph.
Hi, Althea. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, ladies.
So my day was pretty awesome. We're coming out of the lockdown where I spent every waking moment with Christian. So this morning I took a morning off. I was just like, I needed a meeting with Rochelle. With Rochelle. No cocomelon, no cocomelon, because I know
No
every
Cocomelon.
yo, I have like the remix, Yo, all the wheels on the bus, go round and round,
Round and round,
and round,
round and round.
round and round. Hi, Bert. How are you? So, ladies. I just mentioned lockdown. So, for those of you, Alfie, I know you're in New York. I don't know if you know that we are experiencing the thorough third wave on the island. So, we just had our third week of 3-day lockdown. And one of the things that you recognize if you can make it through these 3-day lockdowns, so it's like you're locked up in prison for 3 days, you go road for 4 days, and then you're back in. If you can make it through this, I think you can make it through a lot of things. Because
Yeah.
there were some moments I didn't have anywhere to go, but I wanted to go somewhere so bad. So welcome. We are the Emerge Trio, and we decided that this week we needed to just touch base with our emergers. We just needed to have a conversation. We've been talking to each other just about all the various things we've been going through, just dealing with this third wave vaccination, all these things that we're dealing with now. And every minute we have like a hurricane or a storm. So we said, tonight let's just talk. So we want to hear from you. As I said, did you know last week when you were on, we had heavy rain here in New York?
Central Park had like 4 inches of rain.
And
The week
guys had like almost like a hurricane. It was the remnants of Ida, right?
Yeah, I have friends whose houses were flooded
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I have a friend that their entire basement literally like seemingly washed away.
Yeah.
So I think
Wow.
everywhere there's just so much stuff going on, so much coming at us that we really sometimes just need to take a moment to just stop. And the
Wow.
best thing too is just having a place that you can talk. Because sometimes you just need to get it out, just to talk about it and know that you're not alone with your
Yeah.
feelings. So my
Yeah.
name is Rochelle Cameron, Adrenaline Rush. I have had to be taking some additional B12 supplements to keep that adrenaline going, but I will not let lockdown kill it. I am an attorney at law for much of the time, a profession I thoroughly enjoy, but I get the opportunity to also work with people and to work in communications and to do all these things that I love to do, not only through Emerge, but through my company, Prescient Consulting Services Limited. I also hail from the parish of St. Mary, a verdant district called Lucky Hill. Marcia one daughter. I love me. Next.
Hi, everybody. I am Kathy Goodall. I am a marketing um, strategist. um, And I am just very happy to be here tonight. Tonight's show has reminded me of how grateful I am for this space. And so I'm just happy to be here. Welcome.
Hi guys, my name is Naomi Garrick. I'm also known as a PR chick. I'm a PR consultant, personal branding coach. I'm the mom of a fourth formal, apparently, that started yesterday. And I'm here just like everybody else, just trying to, as Rain and Sky would say, ride the waves of the pandemic. That feels like it's never ending. But I'm grateful, like Kathy, to be here in this space to share with the Emerge Trio, but also to share with our new emergers as well as our tried and true emergers that join us every single week. So I'm grateful to be here a year and a half later.
A year.
That's really great. Yeah.
That's so unreal. You know,
Yeah.
we show our shows our backgrounds over the year and a half, how the different behind us has changed over the year and a half. We could do a whole song to it,
Well, since you know so much about like
Who's on the bus?
and you know coordinate that, Rochelle.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned, sorry, I just dropped my phone, and I dropped my phone a couple of times today. Not sure why, but the last time it dropped, when your phone drops and it falls on its face, but you're terrified to take it up, lest you take it up and the face is smashed. So I almost walked away from it because I said it is now dead, but it's still alive. But I thought to myself, wow, we're so attached to our phones, and during this time we've gotten so attached to
Technology.
the outside world in this kind of bubble. So, we're seeing what's happening all over the world. We're seeing what's happening. We've been in people's homes, in some Zoom meeting, in people's living room, in people's bedroom, all over the place. But yet, it's a time that there's a loneliness that is pervasive. That we really are just trying to cut and go through and tough it out. Just also we need to now you mentioned Rain and Sky, and just to acknowledge these phenomenal ladies that were on our program. I mean, a show that you have to just keep watching over and over. They talked to us about mindfulness, and this week we were reminded about mindfulness with the passing of their amazing mother. Amazing. That woman that we all wish we were and we all aspire to be.
Full of life, She really enjoyed life.
Yes. So, it just also reminded you that, life is so fragile and so short. And you just hope that the time that you have, you are creating impact and meaning in people's lives, because that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's again, it's how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah.
What's the legacy?
Yeah. How do you want to be remembered? Emergers, how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. How do you want to be remembered?
How do you want to be remembered, Rochelle?
Girls! No, I'm one of those people that I'm just like, don't hold it in. Pour out how much I've meant to you. Use those adjectives. Fabulous, you can just keep punctuating each sentence with fabulous. But I always said, that if I ever go, I want to be missed for my energy that I bring into a space. That I made you laugh, I made you smile, or when you needed me, I was there. So those times that mattered, that I showed up. And I wasn't just like your fun time friend, but you could talk to me with pure silence. That I made myself present and a presence in your life. That's how I want to be remembered.
Oh.
I think for me, I want to definitely be someone that's remembered for being impactful or inspiring others in a positive way. But in addition to that, like my personality, I've always had, a warm, happy personality, and I try to choose happiness in every situation, and that's the thing that I want to be remembered for. Kathy.
I think it's the same thing, impact, but I think love. I want people to feel or know that I love them. And so I think especially in the past year and a half, that's something that has been very I've tried to be more intentional about.
Love that. I see in the chat we have Mert says a person who makes others laugh, just like Rochelle. Scotty says that I impacted lives. I lived in purpose. I lived to the fullest, and I lived a life that glorifies God.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tisha.
yeah, that
Awesome.
is giving goose pimples too.
Yeah, it's important that we this has been such a weird time, and every time it really is waves. It
Yeah.
really, the feelings, like grief comes in waves, because sometimes you feel great, especially here in Jamaica. I feel like whenever we got a little extension on our curfew hours, it's like you felt like this additional sense of freedom. It's like you could take on the world, even if it's just like one additional hour. And
Yeah.
then when you're back in this lockdown situation, which, yes, we know it's for the greater good, so we understand the reason, but it still doesn't help how you feel.
You
You
still feel
almost
it.
feel like trapped, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's such a weird feeling, almost like you're going through stages of grief that you're trying to deal with in this pandemic. For many people live on their own, so that is difficult within itself. So you're in a pandemic, in a lockdown weekend for 3 days, probably spending more time with yourself than you've ever spent in your whole life, and you just don't know what to do with that. And then you have situations where maybe you're at home with your spouse. That's not an ideal situation either, and you're forced to be in that space. Or you have small children, and like
Yeah.
Rochelle, who was so excited to be out of lockdown today just to get that me time for herself. So we're all just going through just so much right now, and we don't often get the opportunity to share or to talk about it and express how we feel. Today I had one of my PR chicks over. So when there's lockdown, we try to at least meet once a week in person, because you forget that that personal connection is so important, just to how you function on a day-to-day basis. And yes, I know we're supposed to be social distancing, but we're both fully vaccinated, and we have to hug. We just have to hug when we see each other. We don't realize how important that feeling, being able to touch people and hug and show emotion is. And so, but today we're sitting down and we had zero motivation to do any work. We had work to get done and we got it done, but it was just like, I don't feel like doing this today. I just really don't want
I
to do
want to go
anything. And
outside.
for me personally, yeah, for me personally, I have many days like that where I wake up and I know I have a to-do list, but I just don't want to do anything. I
Yeah.
just, what's that song Bruno Mars sings? And I just want to stay in my bed. That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
So I have to like push myself. So I've started doing again I'm trying to start back my morning routine, because I had an ankle injury which has prevented me from going back to the gym. So I'm not waking up at 4:30 in the morning anymore, which I'm now realizing how important that was to the start of my day. I don't have the energy when I get up at 7 o'clock, and I'm now trying to find more things to get my frame of mind in a better place. So I start playing like praise and worship once I'm up. Then I have to read my affirmation cards. Then I started doing what Rochelle suggested last week, and I'm writing 3 things that I'm grateful for, to kind of just set the tone for my day. But it's not easy every day, and so I just wanted to share that with everybody, because I know we're all going through this pandemic in our own different ways, and I think by sharing it also shows that you're not the only person, but then you can also hear what other people are doing to see if it can help you to improve your situation.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd love to. I mean, I love for the emergence, while we're talking to just share your experience as well in the chat. What has your experience been like over the last year and a half, and what are some of the things that you're doing as a part of your coping mechanism? But I'd love to hear from you and Rochelle and Kathy. What's this been like for you?
Well, for me, it's funny. I was actually thinking about it a lot yesterday. I I think I am okay with just sometimes not being okay. Like I'm okay if I get up and I just sometimes I have no energy, and sometimes I'm just tired. I'm just exhausted. I'm not physically exhausted, but my brain cannot take one more moment. Sometimes I just put the phone on silent, or I watch YouTube videos of people removing ingrown toenails.
Rochelle,
No,
no.
I know what it is. It's just when it comes out and it grosses me out, but I watch them. But
Just
this
like Dr. Pimple Popper, I follow her on Instagram and I can't help myself. Sometimes I just gotta watch that stuff coming out.
exactly. But you know what happens with social media, sometimes as we're watching other people's lives unfold, we start almost making an accounting list of their lives and our lives. And we say, okay, it's lockdown. How come they were able to plan a whole vacation that coincided with lockdown? And maybe if I was more organized, I could do that. But maybe that's not your situation and you didn't even want to do that, but you're
Right.
actually starting to pull from people's things and making your situation even worse because you
Yeah.
start creating in your head where you should have been. So one of the things I've started doing is asking is acknowledging that right now I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Today I went, and I'll tell you a quick story. I traveled to New York recently. I was very nervous because it's the first time I was traveling with Christian and thing. And may I tell you, all 2 nights, I'm not sleep, I'm gonna plan out the process of where I get through and thing and all that I'm gonna need, and I pack and repack and I have the list. So we get to the airport and everything. We're on time. I'm good. We're rolling. Everything is going great. And so this was a Tuesday. So that Tuesday was a Tuesday of the storm. So they boarded us on the plane. We sat on the plane for about 4.5 hours while they anticipated the storm flying over the plane, and then the plane would leave. Then we were released from the plane and sat at the gate for another 4 or 5 hours when the flight was cancelled, but we had to wait on the bags to come off the flight because in say the rain did not fall. But then after you come out, that storm is going on. So you still have to wait now for somebody to drive through the storm. Now, in my list, and guys, when I get indexed with that list, it did not have storm sitting on the plane. It never had all of that. Never had all that. Christian was a rock star through it. The next day, we boarded the plane late, had to deplane again, wait on some pilots to come from Fort Lauderdale. So the next day we got to the airport at 8 and we got to New York at 4 o'clock the next morning. And this was like, I was like, wow. But through this whole time, when sometimes you're just present in not why is this happening to me, but what's happening for me during this time. I met this amazing woman. Her name is Shauna Cameron. So we've declared ourselves cousins. But funnily enough, the day before I was in Fontana and I saw this lady in this fabulous dress and she had these great glasses on. I was like, yo, and I just said, Mr. I just love like when you just turn up at the pharmacy and just act. Mr. My girl look good. And she ends up being the same person who goes to have to get water for me because I ran out of water to make formula, and was just there with me and we're chatting, and it was just such a great time of bonding and stuff with her. And she has this fantastic son. And I thought to myself, wow, I got to meet this woman. I got this amazing act of kindness. I met all these people sometimes you just kind of open yourself up on a journey and you release the bondage of a moment to what's coming into it. And I thought, wow, how many times have I just complained through something when another amazing thing was happening? So, but also I sometimes we just have to let go, release ourselves, just release it. Release it, whether or not we ball it out, me angry, whatever, just release it. And then allow ourselves to to live in that moment, to actually experience it. Because sometimes you have to open the floodgates to allow
Yeah.
the new things to come in.
Which is right. I mean,
I have to
out
sleep it
there,
off.
what you saying, I?
I have to sleep it off. My brain will just literally. I think it's like I don't know if it's a self-preservation mechanism, but if I'm angry, if I'm overwhelmed, I just fall asleep. My brain just literally just is telling me that you need to take a minute, just go and take a nap. I just need to sleep.
Hi, Lorian. So for me, COVID was definitely an eye opener. I mean, I'm one of those people that live alone, and so being locked up in the house for a year and a half was a lot. You know, it certainly forced me into a space that, you know me, I love people. I am always with people and connecting with people, and worse yet, with my job, it was always on the go. So not only did I have to slow down, but I also didn't have anybody around me. And so I literally went into therapy. I started therapy during COVID. So I guess that was a good thing, because I
Hmm.
never would have slowed down enough to deal with things that I had to deal with. I didn't even know that I had these things to deal with, you know. So I experienced a lot of grief as well, because I lost a lot of friends in the past year, mostly to cancer, that were my age, that went to school with me. So it's people that, you know, I grew up with. That was hard. Um, and of course, not being able to see my family, because I was the only one in Jamaica from my family, and so that was even harder. But I think coming out of COVID, there are so many things that I'm grateful for, and so many opportunities that have come out of COVID. Like, one, going to counseling. Two, really being able to evaluate my relationships, and being able to now find a new way to connect. So I spoke to my family and my siblings more during COVID than I ever have since I've been living in Jamaica.
Same.
And video chatting, I mean, probably talked to you guys more during COVID than when we used to see each other in real life. And we met every week.
Yeah.
And so it has made me very intentional about my relationships. It has created this platform for us. It made us think about emerging a completely different way.
Yeah.
You know, it has helped me to refocus on um, where I am and what I'm doing with my life and what actually matters to me. And so, even though I went through a lot of grief and loss, you know, Rochelle said it a while ago, sometimes we have to go through that process of grief and loss in our finances, in our relationships, in our careers, to actually birth something new and for something new to happen in our lives. And I think COVID was a cleansing for me, or has been a cleansing for me, because we're still going through it. But it has certainly made me start to be more appreciative. It has made me be more grateful. It has made me be a lot more intentional with my choices. So I think it would be great if you guys shared with us what are some of the opportunities that have come out of COVID for you.
Okay, that was like, you moved me, man.
Mhm.
You moved me like a front end loader. Mm.
Yes, like I said, Kat, there have been some great opportunities. As you guys would have known, I started doing baking, which I've stopped. Not to say that I've stopped forever, but
Okay.
baking is like something you have to be in a mood, and I'm just not back in that mood yet.
Get in the mood for Friday night.
If what?
Get in the mood for Friday next
Okay,
week.
okay. I can be in the mood for Friday. Okay.
Yeah,
So
the
yeah, so
feeling.
so that's what happened with me. I started a whole new mini company, PR Chick Bakes, and I really discovered that I actually enjoy baking. So now
And
I've
I'm
been,
good at it.
and I'm actually good
He's
at it. So
really good at it. Yeah.
I really enjoy that. And so now, even though I'm not baking to sell right now, I'm sure I'll do something for the Heroes Weekend or something. I know that when I'm in the mood for something nice, I say I feel for something nice, I can actually make something nice. So I like that. I also really appreciate the fact that, as I had mentioned, my son is starting fourth form, which is pretty scary for me. He's 15 now, and in the past year, his maturity and just everything has just changed so much. And I am grateful for the time that I have with him, because if the world was open and he knew what was outside of this house, I probably wouldn't see my child very often. So I am grateful that COVID has slowed down this experience for us. So I actually get to enjoy him some more before he discovers the rest of the world. So I'm really, really grateful for that. But also, more recently, I've found that I am more certain about what I really want to do as it relates to my career. I wear multiple hats. I'm a PR consultant, but I'm also a personal branding coach. And over the last few months, I've been asked to host a lot of corporate workshops, on building your personal brand or your online brand. And I really, 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 really enjoy that. Every single time I do a session like that, I enjoy it. I don't need to really prepare that much for it because I know the material. I enjoy sharing the material, and I love seeing the revelation. People try some of the stuff that I recommend during the workshop and it works. And so it has made me realize more and more that this is a direction that I really want to go into. I love PR, or I loved PR. I've done it for 12 years, but I really, really like helping people, like individuals.
Yeah.
I get a lot of joy and satisfaction from that. So COVID has helped me to also realize what is it that I really, really want to do or should be doing. So I'm really transitioning more into that space now, because the more I do it, the more happy I feel. And I honestly, and I can be honest with my emergers, when I do PR projects, I don't really feel that joy.
Yeah.
So it really feels like work. And for me, as a creative as well, I want to feel excited about stuff and, know that I'm actually playing a significant role in someone's success, in an individual success. So I'm still figuring that out. But if COVID didn't happen and it didn't slow me down, I probably would just be doing everything the way that I was normally doing it.
And the other part of that too is that some of us have, instead of putting ourselves in a category or a definition of what we do, that we've just been able to explore other stuff. So that you like multiple things, and you actually have talents and skills to do multiple things, and you don't have to
be afraid to say yes.
Yeah, and you don't have to be. So this has been a big year of yes for me. I'm jumping into things that I didn't even understand exactly what I was doing, and realizing that I was already equipped with everything I needed for it, but I wouldn't have known it if I had done the Rochelle way of having to plot it out and having to have a full understanding. And I think COVID has almost rattled my brain in that way, that I'm like, what else are you going to do anyway? You're going to do it online. How hard can it be? So
you become more agile, Roshi.
Yes.
Look at that.
I asked myself, I'm like, how hard can it be? I'm like, it's not brain science, it's not brain surgery. I could figure it out. But as you mentioned, the cinnamon rolls. So I recently got some great time with Marcel. Let me tell you, my mother is hilarious. So she loves Cinnabons. So we bought a box that she and I were sharing. We're like, what are calories? We don't need calories. And you know how they have a way. And nice cinnamon rolls are the same way, where even if you lock them up, the smell comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Them call you.
Them
call you. Come here, Rosh.
The woman comes upstairs with a cinnamon roll warmed, and it's cut in two. And she says to me, hey, I brought one upstairs so that we could share. So I was like, we wolfed it down, and I was like, Mama, we could eat more here. No, we can't. I said, why?
God.
Downstairs, I ate all of the others. I started to feel sorry, but it does feel bad. And that's
why she bring up half for you.
The grateful saying it up.
She didn't even bring up a full one for you, Rochelle.
She brought half.
Wow.
She's like, girl, sometimes we just gotta live, man. She's just like, we sit over. If we not count calories, Well, I wonder about water. She's like, some days we just gotta eat the box of Cinnabons. Just eat the box of Cinnabons.
Yeah, or binge watch Grey's Anatomy for like the entire weekend.
We
Yes.
we actually should talk about that. What are some of the things that you've watched like
Well,
in the last 3 weeks?
I rediscovered Grey's Anatomy, which I had stopped watching because I just couldn't catch up. And again, because of my injury, I was forced to stay in my bed with my ankle propped up. And I started watching Grey's Anatomy. What a traumatic show! But I can't help myself. Like it's so sad, but it's so great. But it has like a million seasons and a million episodes in each season. And I really feel bad sometimes when I look at what season I'm at now and the episodes, because I think, what could you have been doing with this time, Naomi Garrett? But it makes me feel good. So I've been watching Grey's Anatomy, and then I just discovered this show, which is really interesting on Bravo, called Below Deck.
Oh, I don't know.
It's basically following the lives of the crew that works on super yachts. So the people very, very rich people.
Oh, it's a reality show?
Yes, will charge on the yacht for like 3 days. And you're seeing the lives of the crew that live below deck and how they have to interact with the guests and the crazy requests that they have for them and all kinds of stuff. But they do some crazy stuff. But then at the end of the 3-day trip, they get a tip of $20,000 US. So each of them end up getting $1,500 after 3 days as their tip. So I mean, they go through a lot.
Where they sign up?
But then they get paid. So at the end of the charter, which is like usually the whole season is like 6 to 7 trips or 6 to 7 weeks, they can leave with like $14,000 US after 7 weeks of working.
Guys, what are you watching now? Tell us in the chat what you're watching, something interesting.
Yeah. Lorian says,
you have to watch an episode, Rochelle. You have to watch an episode.
Obvious.
Yeah.
I'm going to upgrade from Cocomelon. Lorian says, I understand COVID, but where did you find the courage to start these impactful ventures? Wow,
Have we ever told the Emerge story? I don't think so.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I think, yeah. But also, like, it's a lot of different things that we've been doing. Let me start just by saying this, and I don't want anybody, like the other day, somebody was introducing me, and when they described this bold lady, courageous, even Lord Jesus, me did have to start the thing with say, I
mean that.
You know what it is? It is, as Kathy always says, stepping out in faith and letting go of everything in your head that says it cannot be done, and just asking yourself, how hard can this possibly be? My thing this year is a lot to let's just, and I say it to Rochelle, let's just. But it's not that we are more bold than anybody or more courageous or more business oriented. No, because I have had a lot of nights that I've stayed up through the night to when the sun wake up, asking myself, why did you sign up for this thing? Like, okay, why did you agree to this other particular thing? But then you surprise yourself with all the things that you are capable of doing, till after a while you start believing and you say, all right, let me try that one day too, because the other one day didn't work out. So I have the capacity for more. But know that we start from the place where we're shivering in our boots. We're like, and we don't even want to tell anybody about the thing because the thing is sometimes so big. But just know that we feel it too. I mean, I wish I was as bold as people think I am. It would be pretty awesome.
If they saw us balling the night before the first Emerge, they wouldn't even believe. Like, overwhelmed, balling the night before the first Emerge. And all the questions.
When we were like, there's
is anybody coming?
Yeah, nobody's gonna
Is anybody coming?
So, well, that was also for the second one.
And the third.
On the third, we were like, is anybody coming? But you know what? At the end of the day, we know why we're here.
Yeah.
And so we knew that we had to show up. And the why, and it helps that there's 3 of us, right? So if one of us starts thinking we have two more to shut it down.
Yeah.
And so, even if we're feeling it, it's accountability is so important. And we talk about it all the time, but it really is so important because who you allow to speak into your life. When listen, before every single event, we stop, we call New York, and we make sure that no event starts without Marcy praying for us because that sets the tone for us for the rest
Yeah.
of the day. And we know, say, we're good. We don't have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's Catherine, you said that, when it's the three of us, but that surrounding yourself, and I think that has even been more evident to me through COVID. I'm not disappointed if people don't show up the way I would have expected them to show up for me, because I'm so amazed at people who have truly no investment in me or reason that show up. So when you wait, you're just like, wow, wow, look at the support I have. But during this time too, I found that I have been just amazed at persons that have showed up. And just even in this group, that we are constantly like, we believe in what each other do so much that we're constantly like, no man, she can't do that. No, you can do that. I'll help you. I'll fix that part for you. You've got this. Like Kathy will just tell people that I can do this workshop on something. And I'm like, Catherine, she's like, you're a bright girl.
You'll figure it out. And you'll be great.
Available on that date. And sometimes and you have to ask yourself, am I also a fire under people that I also, part of the impact that I have is to fire them up to just how great they actually are. And there's that knock-on effect that the more you do it too, the more it starts coming back at you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how abundance works. You give what you want to receive.
Yeah. And you talk about your support, and Naomi can testify to this. So one of my best friends from I was 4 years old, she has never been to an emerge. I was at the AC Hotel for the second summit at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was having some terrible sinus pressure. And she got out of her bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, drove to the AC Hotel to drop off medication for me, and went back to her bed. You remember that night?
Yep.
Wow.
But she's not the person that's going to sit down through the workshop. I know she means me well, but when I need her, she shows up.
Yeah. And it's, as you said, especially more so during this time, that support system, whether it's your girlfriends, whether it's family members, whether it's your spouse, whether it's whatever.
It's an emerge.
So important to be able to have conversation, to be laugh. My best friend's birthday was last week, Sunday, but of course, because of the lockdown, we celebrated the day before on Saturday. And we went to a restaurant for lunch at 1:30. And of course, curfew is at 6. And we were there as long as possible. We were there until like maybe 5:45, just because you don't want to leave. You're laughing, you're chatting, you're getting to see each other. It's not on a Zoom screen or in WhatsApp. And it's just so nice to be around people.
Mm-hmm.
And every opportunity that you get,
every opportunity. Listen, my friends know that normally pre-COVID, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'm already in my bed, so don't even ask me to go or do anything. And I know that when things get back to normal or we get a little bit more extra time, anything I'm going, I'm there. Yes, I will be there. I'll save the table. I'll be there first.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thanks for that question, though, Lauren. One thing though, like when we get asked a question, that you ever hear some song that the song is like 8 minutes long? Because no matter what, because we can just go woo 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 woo. So no matter what you ask, we can be.
She tried to sing.
So, Mert, what are you thinking about now? Scotty, it's great to have you on. Hi, Nicole. Alice is on, girls. Alice is still in Cayman. You're locked down in Cayman. It's actually always great for us sometimes to just talk so that you can see, we can also kind of unveil and unravel to you guys so that you recognize that we are really trying to figure things out ourselves.
Normal people.
Pretty
So,
normal.
and for those that are probably maybe could be watching this episode for the first time, normally we would have a special guest that's sharing something of relevance, etc. For our audience. But sometimes we're the special guests.
Yeah.
Sometimes the three of us are the special guests, and we just want to talk about stuff. And so this is one of those episodes where so whenever you see emerging with the trio, this is what it looks like. It's us talking about things that we think are important, that we think our audience can also relate to and share. For us, we're very big on interaction. So, if you have anything that you want to share in the comments or to ask us any questions, this is a platform to do it. We're, super honest and open and willing to share. Because we're also just super grateful that we even have an audience to share with, even if it's one person watching. We're gonna go all out for that one person. So thank you.
So you know that the just over the last 2 years with Christian is gonna be 2 guys. Him just born the other day. And he's at the end of this month, he's gonna be 2 years old. So it's funny,
I'm sorry, can we just pause for a second because I just had a flashback to us visiting Rochelle at the hospital and she looked like a glamour girl after she gave birth. After she gave birth, she looked like a whole glamour girl. And we're like, Rochelle, why do you look like that? She's like, what do you mean?
Hospital 90.
No. She was like glamour girl in her gown. I'm like, did you just have a baby?
No, but no,
sorry.
No,
I just had a flashback.
I have to look good. And then you're receiving visitors and they may snap a photo. And you know what? They snap a photo in the duster. I don't wear duster. You
know what's funny? When Ajani was due, he was overdue. And I really wanted to do my hair. And since he didn't come, I went to the hairdresser. And while she was styling my hair, she was just like, so when is baby due? And I was like, last week. So if we have any issues, you know what to do. But I didn't want to chance my hair looking popped down since he didn't come yet. So I just had to get my hair done.
Well, I did it because I went the day before he was due, and Lisa was like, Rush, aren't we due anytime? And I said, actually tomorrow. And I remember, because you know how Lisa is very precise. Lisa is like, this is making me very uncomfortable. This is making me very uncomfortable. And she's like and she's turning. She's like, tomorrow? So today, something could happen today. And I was just like, please give me some good style.
Don't burn me.
So that, my ear up to stay good. And before I went down to the hospital, I curled my hair, curled it up, so that I would look cute. We don't want him to meet me and say, oh, that pop down lady. Who the lady are? After me wait 9 months for me till girl, you couldn't fix up. So I fix up for him. I fix up. But one of the things is that, as he's younger, so every time when Nai says that Ajani is like in 4th form, I'm just like, he was just a baby. And the time goes so quickly. But when they're just born and stuff and you're going through those nights and things and you say, oh, I can't wait for him to be one. I can't wait for this. I can't wait for that. And then you get to this stage now where he sees me on a call and he waits. He knows when I've unmuted and I'm going to speak. And he starts to sing, E-I-E-I-O, E-I-E-I-O. And then he's trying to come on to the screen to see if he has an audience. And I'm just like, pick me. But it's I also have to be so grateful because one, I never anticipated having him. And if you ever dreamed about having these early times with your child, because I didn't have to go back out into after maternity.
Yeah.
And then we were locked down, so I was even forced more to be at home and work from home. And I said, wow, I haven't missed any of this time. I haven't missed first steps. I haven't missed any of this time. So that has been so amazing. But as Kerry said, I'd love for you guys to talk to the athletes. They did us proud. They're coming.
Yeah, as soon as the season is done, because they're all traveling now.
Yep.
We hear Kathy say that. Kathy's like their friends. So Kathy's like they're all traveling now. I was just on the phone with them,
I just spoke to so yesterday, and
whatever.
She's just training,
and just buzzed me to say I'm training. Nicole says the pandemic has been brutal. Being with people is so vital for our mental health. So glad you sought thought therapy, Kathy. I will too. Wonderful.
Yeah, and you know what, Nicole, and I urge everybody, because I didn't even realize some of the things that I had been ignoring for so long. And there's so many online resources now for therapy. I did betterhelp.com, but there are so many online resources. And I would say a lot of them have a questionnaire that you have to go through.
BetterHelp has the best ads ever now. So
there's a questionnaire that you have to go through. And I would tell you to take the questionnaire seriously. Everything from, because it helps you to choose a great therapist that's the right match for you. It's almost like a dating app, right? Where you literally answer questions about, like, is their faith important to you? Does that matter? It's very detailed. It takes a little bit of time, but it's because they want to match you with the best therapist. And so there's so many online platforms if you can't see a therapist or you don't want to go in person. And there are a lot of therapists that you can that are close that also offer online therapy. So even if you don't go through one of the platforms, there's lots of therapists now that are offering virtual therapy.
Yeah,
it's so important.
Because Mark actually says the pandemic has reintroduced me to the experiences and relationships that are truly important. And guess what? She says she's making plans to move back home.
Yay!
Welcome you, Mart.
That's wonderful.
Wow. Hi, Kerry and Scotty says, same. I started therapy this year for the first time also. I think a lot of people, but that we talked about mental health on this program. We talked about it.
Yeah.
In fact, we started this program. Mental health. And now I find that we are just a lot more open to actually addressing our mental health as something that's real, that's important, that constantly requires us to pay attention to. And our mental health and in Jamaica, our thing is we love say, well, if you're addressing your mental health, it's because you're mad. And well, maybe you just have to mad. Like you just have to all get mad with the fact that you're not dealing with your mental health.
Yeah.
All of these Zoom calls, all of this stressful time. Today, I go into the pharmacy and I don't know how I love Fontana. And I was anxious and tense because I felt Delta variant was walking around in here.
Yeah.
Why did you leave the house? Why didn't you just order the things? And I'm just like, even with that, I have had to, you have to be open and willing to talk about what you're feeling. And we have to own that we are responsible for our mental health. So the same way we go and get that executive checkup, we have to because the superpower of the brain,
Yeah. And you have to allow yourself to process and to go through it. One Friday night, I literally sat down but one of my friends came to visit me, and I just started crying out of nowhere for no reason at all. I don't know. There was no real trigger, and I just bawl like ugly cry, as Roshi liked to say. I mean, it was it was just a release.
Yeah.
And we have to allow ourselves to go through it, because if we don't, then it will just build up. And so processing it allows us to go through it. Like we said earlier, shedding and going through it helps us to bring welcome the new.
Yeah.
One thing I appreciate is that I think this generation gets that, and even more so the generation below us. It's the generation above us that just still on the fence. Yeah, it's like a bad word, right? So I'm
And
glad that
we revel in strength that, oh, you know, she's such a strong person. Oh, you're so strong. And we start believing that hype too, that we are so strong. So saying because we're so strong, we don't feel nothing. We can't take on the whole world. We can't be vulnerable because we're so strong. And sometimes we have to like release that rhetoric ourselves. We all have our strong moments and we have our weak moments. And various times we're going to need different people, we're going to need different things. And you know, some of our very own friends that we consider the strong ones, and then we have to check up on.
Yeah.
Listen, I have gotten very good over the last year and a half at saying no thanks. Being able to start saying no to a lot of things that I would have said yes to that may affect my mental health, whether it is relationships or opportunities through work or working with a particular client or even individual coaching for personal branding. If I start to get that feeling of anxiety or just you know, you listen to you guys, listen to your body.
Yeah.
Call it your conscience, Holy Spirit, intuition, whatever it is, God guiding you. Your body always gives you signals, whether you feel it in your stomach, you feel it in your throat, you just feel like uncomfortable in a situation. Listen and act accordingly. Listen, anytime I decide to, like, even as it relates to work, if I decide to say yes to something and I know in my initial meeting I was just like, oh, I don't really think this is for me, it always bites me in the butt after, and then I'm just like, but I knew this was going to happen. I knew this. Why did I still go ahead and do this?
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
then
better at listening to that and saying no.
Yeah. Rashi Lawrence says, you know, to your point, the lockdown has been a spotlight to many things that we were doing to mask our hidden issues, and therapy has helped us to shed those issues.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I had an incident like a couple of months ago. That you know, these you kind of feel like short of breath and just almost panicky all the time. I called Melanie. And I was telling Melanie, you know, these things that I was feeling and stuff, and I was just wondering if his vitamins are needed and thing. And then she said, it's actually it's anxiety,
Anxiety.
having panic attacks. And for a moment, I was like, me?
Mila is a doctor, for those of you that don't know.
Panic attack? I don't have panic attacks. I have lists. I have processes. I don't have panic attacks. And I was like, anxiety? I don't got no anxiety. Other people got anxiety. And let me tell you, I was like, wow, you go through thinking these things are other people, these are other people things, and you are experiencing it and not dealing with it because of it's other people things.
Yeah.
Auntie Norma,
welcome back, Auntie Norma.
Auntie Norma,
no joke, leaves you with inflammation and causes other issues to your body build.
yeah, she just recovered from COVID.
Wow.
And Scotty says slavery has told us that we're not human, we're cattle. Just bear the burdens and wait for death.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
True.
We have to, and Auntie Norma says, since my illness and other related issues, I've made up my mind. I need plenty help though to prioritize myself as number one.
Absolutely.
I want a hard thing for that, you know. And we take it for granted that it's easy to, you know, self-help. We're going to put ourselves first. I'm having some me time. And it is one of the most difficult things sometimes for us to just be selfless with ourselves.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, the example of the airplane is a perfect example. And we use it all the time, but we don't really process it. You know, you can't help anybody if you can't help yourself. If you are not breathing and you lose oxygen, how do you expect to help anybody else? So you have to take care of yourself first. If you're not filled, you can't pour out to anybody else. You can't. We say it all the time. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and it's reality.
I was watching something recently speaking of pouring from an empty cup, and they gave the example of the glass of water, and you're giving this to your family, this to your spouse, this to work, this to this, and you end up with nothing at the end, right? And at the end of the video, they were saying, encouraging people to live in a state of overflow. That you have so much to give that it's just always overflowing, so that you never run out.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, again, like what Kerry says, yes, setting boundaries is a whole vibe. You have to know when to stop, when to say yes, when to say no, and when you need time for yourself to refill so that you're back to this overflowing state, right?
Yep.
So, it's great that all of these, social media has some really negative factors, but it has some great things too, because there's so much information and really helpful resources online as well, if you know where to look in these spaces too.
All right.
And sometimes we pour a lot and we constantly are in this action of giving of ourselves, just giving and giving and going and going. And it's almost a self-preservation mechanism, because we don't want to stop to actually handle our business. We don't want to stop to face the stuff that's there. Stuff. So it's easy to take on other people's things, fix them.
Yes.
Fix always
Roshi, stop shouting at me. I feel like you're judging me right now.
But that's what we do. And I was talking to Mommy about it the other day, and we're talking about, the cup overflowing. But you know what some of us do, that we pour and pour and pour, and then we stop for a minute and we're like, me time. I'm going to rest now. I'm going to take a whole week off. And we get a little in the cup and we're like, look, I've got a little in the cup. We actually don't fill our back tank. No. We're just like, I have enough to get through.
You have enough to not have the light come up on the gas tank.
Right.
Just enough to top up.
But you want to drive all the way to the grill.
Yeah.
On the quarter tank.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. So COVID has forced a lot of us to stop and spend time with that person that we've been avoiding ourselves. Yeah. We've had to stop and actually delve a lot deeper, because we are sometimes left with our thoughts. Yeah. I always say sometimes, like, me and my thoughts can't be left together for too long, because then you start actually recognizing that there are things about yourself that you are masking, as Lorianne says, that you have not dealt with, you're not dealing with. And how you mask it best is that I'm there for everybody else. And I'll just keep on going till one day I drop down, but I can't handle. But that's not living. That's not living. That's not living.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. So, guys, this was our first emerging with the trio for season 5. Guys, we're in season 5. But this season, as we had mentioned last week, is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we are going to have not just speakers, but in some situations we'll have groups of speakers, because we're going to be talking about some really interesting topics and conversations that we also have in our own personal circles. And we think they'll be very relatable. We'll be talking about a lot about love and relationships during COVID. And some other really,
what is that?
Dating, didn't even exist in a COVID world.
In our world, in our culture,
in our everything that's happening right now. Yeah. So we have some really, really fun and cool stuff coming up in the next couple of episodes. So we really want you to stay with us, share with your friends. Definitely for next week. Next week is going to be a whole vibe. I think we're thinking of doing a whole pajama
themed party, yes.
Party. So can you imagine what kind of pajamas Rochelle is gonna wear? So we're looking forward to that. So we just want to have fun. If we're stuck in this situation together, we want to make it fun. We want to make the most out of the experience. So you guys make sure for next week, and we'll remind you when we share what the topic is next week. Come in your pajamas as well. Who knows? We may actually bring some of you into the chat, because we're able to do that with StreamYard. We may just drop the link, and the first 5 people, we add them into our conversation. So We're doing some fun stuff this
Great.
season.
So we'll give you some notice ahead of the
Yes.
pajama party, because we know sometimes we're nighting or look good. We're night to go stay good.
Wear the nice nightie. But guess what? This is a judgment-free space, right? So if you want to show up in your
We're
skills
hanging out.
or whatever,
On a cute nightie. You know what my mother always say? That just in case you gotta run out in the night or anything, you gotta run out, you gotta run out. She's like, just before you go to your bed, take a look in the mirror, ask yourself, can I run out like this? And when you look pretty when you go to your bed, you sleep nicer.
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah. So we're going to when we're doing a pajama party, we'll give you notice and so that you can put on the cute pajama. Sometimes we have one pajama where we did put up, and we put it up in case we are going to a hotel, and we put it.
wear the nice pajamas. Don't put up anything in life right now. That's another thing I learned is listen.
Wear everything.
Perfume. Wear the
All my
nice
shoes are dry.
underwear, wear the nice shoes. Wear all the nice things.
No, let me tell you about the other day. I had cause to put on one of my good shoes to go onto the streets of Kingston. And while I was driving to the venue, I said to myself, why is it that I feel barefooted? Because I have on the shoes. So me have my foot on the gas with half of the shoes, and the other half of the shoes is on the mat. When I take the shoes, it didn't even dry out nice. It didn't even, it just died. The shoe deaded. And in this time too, you're also reminded about the concept of things.
Yeah.
That things are
Just things.
They're just things.
Just things. You can't deal with them.
Don't save them up. Wear the nice jewelry even in the house. Just enjoy your stuff.
Yeah. No, put up nothing. Use them.
Use them.
Drink out of the nice glass. Put ice in there, and we like to drink with the ice, and we go so to make sure we cool down the drinks. Drink from it at your glass. Drink from it. Take out the crystal. Pour liquid. If you drink wine, drink little water out of your crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So on that note, we're wrapping up for tonight. We're trying to stick with our 1 hour schedule. I think this has been a good start. Last week I know we went over a little bit, but especially with back to school tomorrow, gotta get ourselves ready.
School again.
But
So guys, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share all of our platforms at Ready to Emerge. We look forward to seeing you next week. Get your pajamas ready, because we're definitely having a slumber party next week. Next week is gonna be some exciting girl talk. And it's good for the men to come too, because you'll get to understand.
Sure.
You'll get to understand exactly how we think. Say that again, Nai?
I think we might also be able to get some of their input as well.
Absolutely. So we're super excited about next week. One of our guests for next week is actually online. So we will see you next week. Same time, same place, 8 o'clock on our Facebook and YouTube channel. Follow us for more information at Ready to Emerge.
And that's a wrap.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for tonight.
Yes, guys.